Hello everyone, we hope you're doing well. In this video, we will be exploring the APIMatic build file and the array of options it has. The build file is a part of the input used to generate the APIMatic portal via the docs as code approach. This JSON file is responsible for all your portal level configurations, from branding to language specific documentation and SDKs. If you're not familiar with the docs as code approach, we recommend you watch our video on docs as code, which should be in the description of this video. It goes over in detail what the docs as code approach is and how it works. Now, we will take a deeper look at the APIMatic build file and explore the different settings we can configure to align the portal with our desired output. Alright, so this is our APIMatic build folder, and this folder contains the APIMatic build file here. This will always be named as it is shown here. Let's open up the build file and see what options we have here. So at the start of the build file, you will have to include the following two properties and set them to their default values. The first property is the $sign schema. The schema property is used to provide autocomplete for IDs that support it, and its value should always be set as shown in this line over here. The second option that we have is called the build file version. The build file version is for the build file format and should always be set to this default value of 1. The next property that we have is called the generate portal, and the generate portal or this property contains the configuration for the portal generator. The data type for this property is an object, and the generate portal has the following required parameters. The first required parameter is the page title. So whatever value you set the page title to is going to be shown for the title of our page. So we already have this rendered portal that was generated using this build file that we're showing here right now. And in its title, if you inspect it and go on over to the title section, it will have the title that was being shown earlier. The second required property is called the navigation title, and this is the title of the navigation title over here. So anything that you set over there will be shown here as such. All right, so moving on. The next option that we have here is called the logo URL. The logo URL expects a path to the logo that you're using. So within the docs as code approach, our logo is going to be within here. So it is in static and images, logo.png. That is what's being referred to within the build file over here. And then the logo link is a link that you can embed within the logo itself, so that whenever a user clicks on your logo, they're able to open up that link. So if we click on over here, the link that was shown right before this will get opened. Alright, so the next property that we have here in this section is called the language config. So this property is used to specify which languages to generate the SDK and documentation for. This property is of type objects, with keys being a language name and the value being a language object. So the following languages are supported, and they're all listed here, which is HTTP, Java, C#, TypeScript, PHP, Python, and Ruby. So whenever you have a language listed here and then you have these brackets in front of it, so that means that we're going to generate the SDK and the documentation portal for that specific language. Another thing that all of these languages share in common are these two properties called the package repository and package settings. So these settings are used to provide the package publishing information for the users. So in case you already have your SDKs published as packages to the respective repository, you can just fill in the information here, and then our package and then our website will show the users how they can get this package for themselves as well. We'll just show you a quick preview of this on our website, since we've configured this for Java. When we go on over here and then a user tries to press the get SDK button, they're given the option to view the installation instructions. And once you come here, so these are the installation instructions, and they can head on over to this link as well to download the SDK from there. Alright, so going over the rest of the property that we have here, the first one is called head includes. So HTML that is to be injected into the head of the portal page goes in over here. This property expects a type string. And if you want to inject any additional style sheets or set additional meta tags for your page, this will go within the header section. Then the rest of the options are within the portal settings, and one of the important options here is called enable export. So the enable API export button, which allows exporting the API specifications in different formats supported by APIMatic. This is by default set to false. You can set it to enable so that your users can download your API specification file. The next option is called the enable console calls. So setting this property to true allows the API code playground to make API calls directly from the portal. This allows users to test out the API without having to leave the property, without leaving the website, and we recommend that you keep this setting on. So this setting is basically this try it out button. So if you disable the setting, a user will not be able to make a successful API call through your website or your documentation portal. The next option is called the use proxy for console calls. So most APIs do not support cross-origin resource sharing, which requires them to be handled indirectly via server. If this property is enabled, the API Playground makes these calls using a proxy hosted at APIMatic, which enables the API Playground to work for most of the APIs regardless of browser limitations. So this value defaults to false. So APIMatic portal offers a wide range of settings that you can change to customize your portal and make it look like exactly how you want it to be. These settings are covered within the theme override section. Within the first section, we're going to look at how you can make changes to the coloring of your portal. So if you go within the palette object, you can specify the primary color, the link color, and all of these properties associated by these keys C00, 200, 300, 600. So to take a look at what these things change, the primary color property is represented by this P over here. So the color here is going to get altered. And if you come down here, you can take a look at the list of properties that we have. If you provide their hexadecimal color value, and you can look at the things that get changed by this. So these are all have been denoted in this screenshot over here. So anything that you change, its effect gets shown, and you get to see which property you're altering over here. Moving on, within the CSS styles, we have the option to customize your font, and we really give you a lot of control over the customization that you can make to the font. So in the CSS style section, right now we're altering the heading section, and we're also telling it what font family we want, and then we're just specifically altering the heading 1 section. We're giving it a font family, a font size, font weight, font style, and line height as well. So there's much more detailed documentation about this in our APIMatic build file reference. So if you go on over here in the CSS styles object, you can see you can alter headings, body, and code. The H1, H2, H3 denote the different heading levels, and you can take a sample look at how this would look like. If you go into more detail, you can alter it for the text as well. Again, specify the font family, the text level that you want to change, and this also works for the code as well. So you can specify if you want your code to be in a certain way. So guys, these were the general configuration settings for the APIMatic build file. Using these configurations, you can make sure that your website and that your portal looks exactly and feels and functions exactly like you would want your users to have the developer experience. Moving on, there are some additional resources that we'd like to highlight here. We're going to attach them within the description of the video as well. This is a build file reference. This is APIMatic's documentation regarding this. And you will find all of these settings and some additional settings here as well that you can leverage to customize the portal even further. This was our video on portal customization. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to support@apimatic.io, and we'd be happy to help you out. Thank you.